He's Mike Golic, co-host of Gojo and Golic on DraftKings Network, and of course, former stalwart with the mothership, joining us on the program. Big Mike. Sam Darnold. Let's start with Sam Darnold.
Listen,
comeback player of the year.
I'm calling the Detroit Minnesota game for Westwood One Sunday. And the first thing I'm going to do when I go on the field before the game is apologize to Sam, because a few weeks ago I had talked on my son and I show that, is he going to fall to the, level he had been, or is he going to keep going? I was kind of questioning it, and he's been nothing but money. He has been absolute money. But no, he's not winning comeback player of the year. That's for illness. That's for injury. That should be stated. I know there's the other part that you just mentioned in the rules, but I think comeback player is for an injury or an illness.
What do you do if you're the Vikings? I don't know if you bring this up during the broadcast, but are they in a good situation because you have this decision that you might have to make with Darnold and J.J. McCarthy?
Oh, yeah. It's a great situation. I mean, listen, we've seen Green Bay do it twice, where they drafted a guy high and he sat for 3 or so years in Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. So, and JJ's coming off of a knee. Listen, you got to strike while the iron's hot. Now, the issue will be, what deals does he get offered from other teams? Are they huge money deals? Can you get away with a Baker Mayfield type of deal for Sam, a 3-year, $100 million, $50 million guaranteed? It would probably be more than that. Instead of a $50 million year, which I'm not sure someone will give, but they might get close to that, thinking that this guy has kind of recaptured that first round thought. But if I'm Minnesota, I definitely try and hang on to him, and I run it to its course. I mean, if JJ sits, he sits. I mean, you have a proven guy, a guy who's proving it on the field, as opposed to an unproven rookie who's coming off of a knee.
Yeah, I would probably franchise him, and I agree with you. We brought this up years ago that their agents had to come up with a middle ground here. It was not, we got to get $60 million or $55 million. Like, you had to be smart, and Baker Mayfield's agent was smart.
Yes.
You're getting paid, you're playing well, you're going to be in the playoffs, he'll get commercial endorsement. I just don't want Sam to price himself out of a great situation that he has with the Vikings.
I think what Sam, and it seems Sam's a smart person, he also realizes what he has with Minnesota. And if you get offered, now again, there's a lot of money and a little money depending on your preference of what you get offered. But what he has with Kevin O'Connell, make no mistake about it, Kevin O'Connell calling plays and the offense that he has is definitely helping to his success. While he's playing great, there are other factors involved, and Kevin O'Connell is one of them. So you have to think, do I go to take more money and go to a lesser coach and lesser offense?
Yeah, and this isn't a quarterback-heavy draft as well. So,
No.
I mean, this is the right place at the right time, unless Sam Darnold, if they would lose Sunday night and they go on the road and they play Tampa and they bow out, or play the Rams and bow out, I wonder if that would have any impact on Sam Darnold's future.
Well, I think it'll be on how Sam plays, right? Right now, the offense is humming. The defense, while the defense is fourth worst in giving up pass yards, they're fourth best in giving up points. And that's the most important thing, how many points that you give up. So I think it would depend on how he plays, even if they were to bow out early.
I'm looking at the Lions, the pressure on the Lions to win, to be the number one seed, to get a bye week, and have home field advantage, and the better chance to extend your season and then get some of these injured players back. When you're doing a game, can you ask these questions of Dan Campbell or somebody with the Lions when you're doing the broadcast, where they'll give you a little more information?
Sure, you can ask, but they're not really going to give, quite honestly. I mean, they're going to talk around it. And I think one of the most important players, quite honestly, I'm concerned more for the defenses, especially Detroit's defense in these games. Both these offenses are high-profile offenses. But the defenses, the injuries Detroit has had, now they have Alex Anzalone, the linebacker who broke his forearm, missed the last 6 games. He's in the 21-day window to come back, and he's practicing this week. But the thought is, Dan Campbell said it was an 8-week injury, and it'll be 7 weeks this Sunday. So do you bring him back early because they need him, especially in defensive pass coverage, they need him. But do you risk him re-injuring it and being out for the playoffs, or just trying to get the job done without him and still get the number 1 seed? But if you get the number 5 seed, at least you're still in the playoffs and he has another week to rest his forearm. Those are the kind of decisions that they have to make.
He's Mike Golic, co-host of Gojo and Golic on DraftKings Network. Your Notre Dame Fighting Irish last night. Let's look at like a bigger picture here with NIL, transfer portal, where Georgia wasn't Georgia like they had been before. Alabama is not Alabama. Clemson is not Clemson. And I don't know if this is a one-off, Mike, or is it because maybe the playing field is leveling and talent is dispersed and you're not stockpiling 3 running backs at Georgia or 5 defensive linemen at Alabama. Is this a one-off, or do you think we're peeking into the future?
No, I think we're peeking into the future for guys that are sitting. I mean, Gunnar Stockton, the backup quarterback, is a rarity. He's with the program for 3 years, right? And kind of was waiting his turn. Normally you don't see that. You see a guy transfer. I think this is kind of the new era of college football. We saw the portal opened a few Mondays ago, and within a week there was over 2,000 players in the portal. So this is the new college football. It's just a matter of how much you want to use it. Like Dabo Swinney has not used it a lot. Marcus Freeman said Notre Dame will always minor in transfers. They won't major in transfers. Like they're already talking about next year they won't go to a transfer quarterback. They had Sam Hartman, now Riley Leonard, but now they'll use one of their younger quarterbacks. At least that's what they said. We'll see if they stay with it. But overall, I do think we had 43 different starting quarterbacks in FBS through the portal last year. And I think that's going to continue.
See, Notre Dame has figured it out, though. They bring in Sam Hartman. They bring in Riley Leonard. That seems to be the route to go instead of saying, I'm going to raise an 18-year-old here.
It does, but I think they have C.J. Carr, who they really, really like.
Okay.
And it seems like they're going to give him a chance. Now, that's not to say if there's a quarterback that they think fits their system that pops up in the portal that they won't still go for it, because you know what? The way it is now with the portal, you're playing year to year. You're not playing for 3 years down the road.
Is Notre Dame likable suddenly?
Well, I think Marcus Freeman is likable, and I think that makes Notre Dame likable. He's the face of the program. Brian Kelly was this gruff guy who changed kind of his attitude halfway through when people were tired of him turning purple on the sideline and yelling, and it seemed like he was always yelling or mad. And Marcus Freeman is young, he's good looking, he's a great recruiter, players love him. So I think people start to like, because there's always people that are going to hate Notre Dame. But I do think that he brings up the rating, the Q ratings on Notre Dame because of Marcus Freeman.
But the fan base, when Brian Kelly left because he wanted to try to win national titles at LSU, was there an outcry of,
Nope.
How dare you leave Notre? No,
they
were fine.
They were surprised that a coach left Notre Dame, because normally a coach would leave Notre Dame by retiring or being fired, never left voluntarily. So I think they didn't really miss a beat. They didn't really miss Brian Kelly, even though Brian Kelly's the winningest coach in Notre Dame history, beat out Newt Rockne. I mean, so there's something to be said for that. But no, they really didn't really bat an eye that he left. They were a little disgruntled that he chose to leave, and now it's kind of biting him. I mean, he left thinking he had better opportunity at LSU, and here's Notre Dame in the semis. So yeah, there wasn't too much. Oh no, what are we going to do now when he left?
Who's the best team left in the Final Four?
Oh, I mean, the way Ohio State's playing. If Ohio State plays the way they played against Tennessee and Oregon, I don't know who's going to beat them. I mean,
but Mike, it makes you go back to the Michigan game. Like, how do you? That's coaching to me. That your game plan, you can accidentally score 3 touchdowns with that offense.
It is stunning. Now Michigan always has a very, very tough defense. I'll give them that. But they don't really have an offense. They rely on the running game so much.
Yeah.
That was a stunning, stunning loss and really put Ryan Day's head on the chopping block. But he is more than making up for it. I mean, they're not just winning, they're blowing teams out. They're so explosive on offense, they're so stifling on defense. So they're playing the best right now. I think it'll be Notre Dame and Ohio State in the title game, which would be interesting for Marcus Freeman since that's where he went to school.
Yeah. Is Ryan Day, is he still on the hot seat if he loses this game?
Man, Dan, that is a great question because it's weighed so heavily losing to Michigan.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, you lost to Michigan, but hey, we'll take a national title over losing to Michigan. But if you fall short of that, I think he's safe. I think the 2 blowout wins saved his job. If it truly it was if he had lost the first game, I think there certainly would have been some cries for it. But I do think he's going to be fine.
But if we didn't have this expanded playoff format, does Ryan Day, is he still coaching Ohio State?
Probably not, because they don't make the Final Four, right?
Yeah.
And I would, if they didn't make the Final Four and lost to Michigan for a 4th straight year, I would say he'd be gone because so much is put on that. But now that it is expanded and he has a chance to make up for it, which he is in spades, I think it'll save his job.
Good to chat with you again. Thank you, Mike.
You got it, Dan.
That's Big Mike Golic, and he's co-host of Gojo and Golic on DraftKings Network.